I'm willing to say it. I know, like, because I have a sick fascination with these people.
Who is obsessed with who? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I am so happy to have you guys here with me again this week. And thank you all so much for your kind words and words of encouragement last week. If you didn't notice, I wasn't here, but I did make a community tab post. I was recovering from a mystery illness, their words, not mine. And at that same exact time, my husband and I had adopted two mini schnauzers. So you'll hear I'm still a little bit congested. I've got a little bit of a lingering cough, and I am getting winded a little bit more easily because it feels like someone is squeezing the tops of my lungs. It probably also didn't help my throat or anything that was happening with me that we adopted our two mini schnauzers, because I've been talking in my dog mom voice a lot. They have had a hard life up until this point, and honestly, it's been a lot of talking to them, just reassuring them that they're okay, building trust, getting some training in as well. And if you hear some noise above me, that is just them running around, trying to get used to our schedule, right? So apologies if you can hear that noise, because they're running around in all their adorableness. If you are new here and this is the first time you are seeing my face, welcome. That was a very long-winded intro. I promise they're not usually that long, but there was just a lot to share, and I didn't even talk about the background. So please let me know if you like that, because I don't know if I'm married to it. But anyway, if you're new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Sam, and I make weekly videos dissecting internet nonsense. So if you're into that type of thing, or you like today's video, I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel, and make sure that you never miss another upload from me. One of you, thank you for keeping your ear to the ground, put me onto a podcast called More Than Tracy Turnblad, where the podcast host, Abby, who is a TikTok creator — I will probably overlay her face here because I'm pretty sure you would recognize her if you saw her — she hosts a podcast. And on that podcast, not too long ago, it was in early February, she released an episode titled Weight Change and Disability with Jordan Underwood Part 2. When I saw that in my comment section, there was something about that day where I was like, all right, I'm going to give them a listen and just hear what they're talking about. Jordan had quite a bit to say about me. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at my introduction to the podcast as described by Jordan.
One of them, I don't know, I'm not going to name him because I don't even know his name, but like, he literally says that he's in recovery for binge eating disorder. And then the other one, who I'm pretty sure has made a video about both of us, Sam at Every Size.
Oof. Apparently, I am a nasty enough human being to get a literal gag out of Jordan. Interesting. The first thing I want to ask you all, though, is did you notice the way that Jordan spared a male creator because they were struggling with binge eating, but had no problem fully naming me, my channel, and then also making the gagging sound that they made? How many times have I said on my channel that fat activists and fat liberationists hate other women? It is so fascinating to me that they have no issue at all showing or spreading their internalized misogyny. All of their attacks are targeted at other women. Have you ever noticed that before? Because I have. Again, we've talked about it on the channel a bazillion times, and here it is once again, in full plain view for everyone to see and hear. Then he went ahead and he dug that hole just a little deeper, sharing that he has a sick fascination with people like me.
I'm willing to say it. I know, like, because I have a sick fascination with these people. So sorry, she made her Instagram private, but it wasn't private before, and I scrolled back. Like,
I know they make videos. I assume every time I haven't seen most of them, but I assume every time I get an influx of hate that I'm like, all right, someone else is covering me.
For sure. And it's
and
like,
they take it so out of context.
To me, I'm like, you're only making this content because, like, you know that we're right.
The irony of this, Jordan just admitted in recorded audio where everyone can hear his voice that he has a sick fascination with people like me who make content critiquing his content. He then admitted to scrolling my Instagram, which is not a lie, and the only reason that I know that is that Jordan has actually sent me messages to my Instagram. They specifically said, "You are spreading misinformation about me on your channel, and you're obsessed with me. Why are you so obsessed with me that you're following my whole life?" Now, I didn't do anything with those messages. I didn't respond. I didn't screenshot them. I didn't care enough, honestly, to do that. But also, I don't thrive off of drama. It's just not a thing that I have time for. It's not a thing that I need in my life. I don't enjoy watching drama. I don't enjoy reporting on drama. So I just let it be. The thing I want to point out, though, is I have made 2 videos out of 100 plus videos on Jordan. Which are the only 2 times I've ever talked about him on my channel. And again, 2 out of 100. The other thing I'd like to point out is that when this podcast launched, the second video that I'd made had been up for 4+ months. Like 4+ months. Jordan had been sitting on this and then admitted to checking on my Instagram. So much so that he knew that it was now private, which happened in like late December. So my video would have been 2+ months old, and he was still checking on my social media. Who is obsessed with who? I hadn't thought about Jordan. I hadn't thought about creating content about Jordan since those videos went up. Not even when I discovered the messages a week after that video went up did I consider making more content. Until one of you in my audience told me that Jordan was talking about me in this podcast. Let's listen to what else he had to say.
I think that is the thing that also like really boggles my mind about, especially the people who make really anti-fat content. Like, they think that they have like us all psychoanalyzed, that they like really get us, you know, they're really investigative journalism. Like,
I think I get them too, so.
oh, Sam at Every Size made a literal spreadsheet of my medical care. Like, she thinks she's so fucking
Jesus.
smart, but it's like, you're not.
You need help.
You need help because you're not in my brain. You're not in my life. You are not sitting here in the body that I have. You are fat, so maybe look in a mirror, but like, you don't get it. You don't know. You don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not asking you to know what it's like. I'm asking you to like, shut the fuck up.
Ooh. Once again, Jordan really doesn't like me. I think that's the thing that is the most clear out of me listening to this whole podcast. But the thing that Jordan doesn't seem to realize here, or doesn't seem to want to admit to anybody else here, is that the way I laid out my videos and talked through his journey was exactly as he laid it out, as he filmed it, as he edited it, as he chose to upload it. I didn't take anything out of context. I didn't even have to speculate, because every single time a new video dropped, a new episode of his series, he was the one revealing to us that the fat acceptance rhetoric was so deeply ingrained in him that he literally said he would rather die than do keto. Please just think about that for a second. That takes a lot of indoctrination. And that's why I made my video exactly the way that I did. Because I needed people to see that when you're steeped in a movement like this one for so long, this is what can happen. You're being told in this movement that doctors are just fat-phobic jerks, that everyone in the world is out to get you, that everyone hates fat people. You're told that every diet is bad. You're told that every calorie deficit is starvation. None of those things are absolute truths. None of them. But when you're online and you're hearing these things over and over and over again in an echo chamber, right? Because that's what we can do now with algorithms and AI, is figure out what someone is interested in and just keep repeating that like some sort of never-ending portal. And then you only end up with people who agree exactly with you and think the same way you think, that you do actually start to believe that. And for me, Jordan ended up being a case study of exactly that point. I don't know if I actually said this or not in my videos, but I started out watching the Lump Leg series just out of my own genuine curiosity, because the one thing Jordan is right about is that I don't know what it's like to live with lipedema or lipo-lymphadema or lymphedema. I don't know any of them, and I didn't know which one Jordan had, and I was genuinely curious to know what does it look like to get treatment, all of the things I figured he would talk about in that series. But as he released videos, it became so clear that he was contradicting himself, because he would say things like this.
They refer me to get compression socks and a leg pump, and they say, you know, do these and come back in 6 months. Okay. I go to get the compression socks and they're gonna cost $600 out of pocket. And they're not covered by Medicaid because they're custom. Not covered by insurance because they're custom, because I am too large, and they do not cover custom at all, even if it's medically necessary. So no compression socks for me. And I do the leg pumps, but the leg pumps you have to do for 2 hours every day. And as someone who works, that isn't really possible.
And then follow it with things like this.
I'm reaching out to a bunch of different hospitals. A lot of this research comes out of Germany. So while I was declined from one German clinic today, I'm in the talks with a second clinic. So if that can happen, that's kind of where my mind is at right now.
And as I watched, I could not figure out how one could not afford $600 compression socks, but could afford to fly internationally to stay at an international treatment facility and be able to pay for that. The math just wasn't mathing for me. I didn't make those videos because I hate Jordan. I made those videos because it was genuinely confusing and frustrating to watch someone contradict themselves publicly and work against their own best interests when their health and their mobility were declining so rapidly. And also, just for the record, because Jordan brought it up, the only reason there was ever a spreadsheet document for that video documenting the dates and the things that he shared about his health was so that I could make sure that I was getting things in the right order. Because if I don't, then it's out of context or it's misinformation. And I am just a thorough nerd. I try to be as thorough as possible. Most of the time that pans out for me, and sometimes it doesn't. Please take that as you will, but that is the only reason that that existed. I think the thing that really gets me in all of this is I'm being painted by my fat peers who are still in the fat acceptance movement as a hateful person, not unlike what we're seeing them do to other fat creators who are now attempting to lose weight. They say that I hate fat people, despite the fact that I myself am a fat person. They say that I think weight loss is easy, even though Jordan just admitted that I've also struggled with my weight in recent years, and I have never once said that it was easy to lose weight. I never once said there was one size fits all way to lose weight, because I know that that's not true. They also say that I try to psychoanalyze them, which is just blatantly false because I'm not qualified to do that, and I am 100% okay admitting that. Meanwhile, the mean girls of the fat liberation, fat acceptance communities have judged the clothes that I choose to wear, the way that I do my hair. They've talked about the way that I look quite a bit, which is fine, to each their own. They have called me dumb, told me that I'm a moron, the dumbest person they've ever met, and also I have received death threats for the content that I make. When all I'm really attempting to do here is just talk about their rhetoric and their logic, and and point out that that rhetoric that exists on the internet can sometimes be harmful in real life, that it can make us work against ourselves. I don't hate Jordan. I don't hate anyone that I talk about here on the channel. The only reason I ever talk about them is to specifically talk about their actions, their behaviors, their logic, their rhetoric, because I do understand what it's like to be fat. And I do understand what it's like to come in contact with toxic wellness culture, actually toxic diet culture, the toxic fitness culture that exists. But I also have an in-depth understanding of the echo chamber that exists within the fat acceptance and fat liberation movements that can lead you down a path where you're actively working against yourself. And that's the only reason I created this platform. It's the only thing that keeps me going, is knowing that just my talking about it might help someone see the way out. And honestly, when I was preparing for this video, you all know how I usually do it. I'm scripting. There's usually a lot more clip editing in to things that are relevant. But I wanted to just check in and see, honestly, where Jordan was. Because, again, I haven't looked for him. I don't seek him out. I hadn't watched his content in 5+ months. And that was when I learned that I was blocked. Womp womp. The good news is that if you have half a brain cell, you know that you can just sign out of TikTok and still watch TikTok content. So that's what I did, because I was just genuinely curious, once again, where is Jordan? I haven't watched his content in a long time. What's going on? What's changed? Have things improved? And what I found were videos where he had workout gear that was a Lisa Frank fever dream. He'd started doing yoga, and he'd started dancing again. And he started talking about how making those changes had helped him stabilize and almost reverse the conditions he was dealing with.
So now, with the help of the anti-inflammatory diet and the compression and the water fitness and all these things that I'm doing that are working together to make up my treatment plan, I no longer have very severe lymphedema. So I wouldn't go as far to say that I am in stage 3 yet, but very close. And my hope is that after surgery, I will be solidly back into stage 3.
And I know that this is not going to be what anybody was expecting, but I enjoyed that check-in, because what I could see was that Jordan had started doing things that he loved again, and he was passionate about them, and he was really good at them, and they made him happy, and that made me happy. I literally cheered in my living room, because I'm not actually a hater. I'm just a hopeless optimist who's hoping that her content will help people see that sometimes we get caught up in belief systems that aren't good for us. And sometimes those belief systems make us work against our own best interest. The only thing I actually hate is watching people work against themselves. And no one is immune to that. We all do it. Hindsight is 20/20, and no one is perfect. Everybody sometimes works against their own best interest, whether they mean to or not. And despite what Jordan had to say, I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I'm smarter than anyone. Sometimes it still baffles me that there are 30,000 people out there who want to hear what I think. Because to me, I'm just a woman with a computer and a camera phone and a lot of opinions. I don't think I'm better or smarter than anyone else. I think we're all unique, and we all have our own perspectives, and we all bring something to the table. And ultimately, whether Jordan wants to admit it or not, I was kind of right. Once he started doing the opposite of the things that he had been taught to do and believed he should do as a part of this fat acceptance and fat liberation movement, he started listening to a doctor, he changed his diet, he's added movement and increased movement and started compression therapy and all of the things that he needed to do. And he can now, once again, do the things that he loves doing and he can do them well, and he can share them with us. And that's not a bad thing. Just like all the other creators that we're seeing who are coming out and wanting to change their lives. He is no different. He chose to learn more about himself and his own body, his own condition. He started listening to people on the outside telling him what he needed to do, and he started to actively seek his own version of health. That's all we can hope anyone will achieve, is their own version of health for their own body. But Jordan and his allies make that really difficult because they think that they get to choose who gets to do that. And it will never not blow my mind that they police that the way they do in the name of bodily autonomy and feminism. All right, that is all I have for you all today. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Again, I don't thrive in drama, so this was not like a drama-filled video, but I just needed to ground myself and remember why I started this channel, because it's grown so much over the last year, and I'm incredibly thankful to have each and every one of you here with me every week. But this was a nice, unexpected reminder that talking about these things is the best thing that we can do. Because even Jordan has seen enough light to not fully believe all of the things that he used to. He's no longer thinking, I would rather die than improve my condition. And to me, that's a win. So I'm going to turn it over to you all the way that I always do at this point. I'm curious to know what you think. Had you heard this podcast? Did you recognize Abby when I overlaid her content? Because I'm figuring most of you will. You'll probably have seen her in other videos because she also has some crazy takes. But anyway, what do you think about Jordan giving grace to a male reactor and responding the way that he did to me? I'm genuinely curious to know, because that was one that I flagged real hard right off the bat. Was once again the protecting of a male creator to throw a female creator under the bus. Always fascinating to me in the name of feminism. That will never not just tickle me, honestly. Did it surprise you to hear that when he started to implement these changes and undo the indoctrination, that he started to feel better? You all will have to let me know what you think, because at this point you have to know I love reading your comments. You all always come so prepared, and you have such different perspectives from me. I do genuinely enjoy reading what you have to say. So please share your opinions with me in the comment section down below. And for all my introvert friends out there who might not feel comfortable leaving your opinion in an internet comment section, I see you, I feel you. Go ahead and leave me some sort of celebration emoji. Because even though we discovered that Jordan hates me enough to make a gagging noise, and enough to stalk my social media, we're still going to celebrate the fact that he is now feeling better and able to do things he is passionate about. And we are also going to celebrate the fact that these videos are indeed making a difference somewhere. You tell me they're making a difference. We're seeing differences. We're seeing people changing. They're breaking out of this internet binary that all calorie deficits are equal and that they're all starvation. And I think we're inching towards sanity. So let's celebrate that together. Because I love seeing your emojis just as much as I love reading those opinions. As always, thank you all so much for being here with me today. I will see you in the next one. Bye.